to Ableton. Audio is disabled, so you're going to choose whatever program output device. You click there, or you can do Command comma, and it'll pull up this window. And in the window, it may be on one of these other screens, but you press Audio, Output Device. For purposes of this video, I'm going to select built-in output. But if you are going through like a Presonus audio box, you do Presonus audio box and then configure. You'd only have to do this once. What channels are being used on that audio box. All right, so output is there. On your computer, if you haven't done this already, click Warp and turn launch mode to trigger, default warp mode complex, and auto warp long samples needs to be off. Okay. There's some other things that I would recommend doing under audio. Your IAC driver, that's something that every Mac computer has. Let's just talk about that now. IAC driver. So you go to your Launchpad, your other folder, and MIDI audio MIDI setup. IAC driver communicates to it's like a loop. Your computer communicates to itself like through MIDI. So open IAC driver, and I don't necessarily think it will automatically be there for you, but I can help you get there. Devices online, make sure it's on, and you have one port. It says bus 1, MIDI in 1, MIDI out 1, and that's it. This is a native app to Apple, so you should already have this. So close that out. You don't have to do this every time. That's just, I just want to make sure all your settings are right. So you should have something similar. These are hot lists. So there's different, this is called session view, and this is arrangement view. Click here, arrangement view. The timeline is horizontal, and in session view, the timeline is vertical. So this would be one song, second song, third song, and in arrangement view, the songs kind of tie together. So we're going to use arrangement view. In arrangement view, I have templates. So in my templates, I have it under my Ableton folder. So instead of going through my Ableton, I'll go to Setlist. And then I have a set list called Template with MIDI Project. So you don't have to recreate it every week. You open up the folder and then double click. So this is going to look scary, but it's not. Don't worry. I have it built in to have every song has a marker, and these are just placeholders where you put in the song's information. So in this placeholder, you got the click track, tempo, guide, dynamic guide, control, repeat, add locators, and I'll explain all that. Markers, this is just a folder that will say what is coming up. Original track, that's for like the original MP3 that you can mute and unmute so you can hear while you're rehearsing. ProPresenter, this is commands that communicate to ProPresenter so it can fire the slide for you. And pads, you can put a pad in here, and then these are just like placeholders of keys that go in between songs. So let's just add a set list. So I go to arrangement view. These are pre-made songs that have this type of format. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Glorious Day. So I'm going to search down here. It's alphabetized. Glorious Day. Open up the folder, and then you drag the folder inside. Down it says drop files and devices here. Anywhere below this line, you press paste, or I mean you don't press, you just release. You drag and then you release there. So it just opens up everything like this. So it just looks like a mess. Every file is open that it expanded. So all you have to do is just minimize one of those, and then it just compresses all the folders back down. What you want to do is you want to select all this. These are all the new files. So what you want to do is select over here, drag, and then drag down. You drag all the way to the edge. You press Command X is cut, and you want to put all this stuff at the top. So I mean, just go back. So select all this. Besides, these are the loops, and I'll show you. These are all just the individual tracks. So you don't want to select that for the first song. Select everything except that, because this stays in this place. This is under the first song. Command X, and then go to the top, and then press this icon, takes you to that last cursor. So if you wanted to paste in any of the other songs, you just go back and forth, back and forth. So that makes sure that you're at the edge. Command V is paste. And then all these are empty files, empty folders, basically. So click all those and delete. So now you have the song, song one, all organized for you. So I'm going to move this down a little bit so there's no overlap for the second song. Second song, let's do Love Come Down remix. Open that up. And down here, so if you run out of room where it says drop files here, you just can minimize this button here, and that minimizes everything that popped up. Drag it in, and what it's going to do, and don't be surprised, it's going to paste it. Whenever you add a new song, it's going to paste it all the way at the end. So we're going to minimize all these tracks. Everything kind of collapses, and since it's all highlighted already, you're going to do Command X. And I want to everything's set to 1 bar. Let's do this. Let's line it up here. And I want, so I cut the whole everything from over here. Whoops, I didn't. Look at that. See, that's why you got to be careful. Select the whole thing. Sometimes you leave a little extra on accident. I'm gonna line it up. And then since you cut it from the top, you have to paste it on the top, or else it all may not line up perfectly. And I paste it there because I can't paste it higher, or else the loops will fall into that category, and we want to have separate categories here. And then so it lines up here. And if say you just everything's not selected, you can go to the beginning track, highlight, shift, and then select down there. Command X is cut. Go to the top. You go over. Command V, paste, and then delete all the folders that you took all that information from. So now you have 2 songs back to back. Wait for it. Yep. So the songs will go into one another. So let's add the third song. Third song, "Oh Come to the Altar." Now this one may look a little different because I haven't. This is a new format that I've organized the songs in. So "Oh Come to the Altar" will look a little bit different. Just minimize everything. So it doesn't have the blue. It doesn't look like this. So what's inside of here is click, tempo, guide, dynamic guide, control, repeat, allocators, markers, original multi-tracks. And what's here, it just hasn't been put in a folder. Click, tempo, guide, dynamic guide, all the. So what I want to do is just select the top line, and that usually, normally, it selects the whole line. So you don't have to be here and then go to the beginning to select it all. Command X, and I just want to paste it in its own section. Command V, Command X. Just gonna just take those all out. And you can't paste it like here, like you did the other ones, because these are all in the folder. So you got to open it up, and then, so if that happens, you go over here and then paste within it. So they're all in the same order. It just looks a little bit different when it came in. And then you delete all those folders, all those placeholders. That's all this is, placeholders. You can see that the time signatures are all different. So 4/4, you got 4/4, and then you got something else. And what I do to zoom in is, you see this is just a 30-mile view of what's happening down here. So you can click on it and drag, and then you can move it while you're dragging in. And then you can just, so you see there's a 2/4 time signature here. So what happens when there's a different time signature is, what you want to do is hover above, like the top line here, right click, insert time signature change. So since it's a 2/4, all I'm doing is just inserting a new time signature. The default's 4/4. Whoops. So you can do 4/4, but it's redundant because it's already in 4/4, and then it kind of forces a 2/4 time. Keep on moving down. There's another one. Insert time signature change. So I'm not going to put 4/4. I'm going to do that here. Now this is 6/8, so this is where you want to do it here. Insert time signature change, and you say 6/8, and watch what happens. It changes the time signature from this point on to 6/8. So if your fourth song, which would be like down here, maybe 4/4 time, you're going to have to change it back to 4/4. Okay? Cool. So when you insert a song, this forces 110 forces the internal clock to change to 110. This should change it to 120. What happens when you click on it? What this does is it is the master of everything below it. So when you click on it, you see what it sounds like without it. It's really fast, and it just keeps on speeding up. So if you turn on slave, it forces it at 110. And so what you should do over here is you should make that the master for everything below it. So everything below it is warped. So the drums is warped. Everything below it is warped to follow whatever the computer's BPM is telling it to do. So right here. It's gonna watch it change to 120. Does it automatically for you. So you want to make sure that all the songs are mastered. All right. So you see that I have two original original tracks in here. So you can turn those can mute on and off. That's really helpful for rehearsing. All right, let's talk about what else we see down here. So I'm gonna minimize that. That just pops out. So there's a lot going on here. Dynamic guide. This is where it says this is what comes with the multi-track. Interlude. See, I don't know if you can hear what I'm hearing, but that says interlude. You, if you want to repeat this section, and this is just a marker that I made. You can rename it. Command R. You can call it pre-chorus. If it's wrong, you can do it whatever. So how I make that is it's just a MIDI clip. So I'm just selecting this section here, right-click, insert MIDI clip, and you're just typing. It's just like a placeholder, of course. So it's nothing special. There's no notes in here that's telling the computer to do anything like I have in Pro Presenter. But this is all the stuff below here is for another time. All right, let me just minimize this so you can see everything below it. So this is helpful so you see where in the song you are. Repeat tells you to keep on repeating a certain section. So if it gets to here and you press and you toggle on this button that says repeat, it's going to repeat the last section it was in. And now the last section is determined by markers. So watch this. I've set up Command R to toggle repeat, and it says repeat. Dynamic guide, this is audio clip that says repeat. It turns on this button. It mutes the guide, so it's not telling you interlude, it's saying repeat. And it fires here. And it turns on repeat. So if I turn off repeat, but left dynamic guide on, it would just say repeat, but it will continue to go through. So what it does, so you see this, I'm toggling between them, and that's just a command R. Sorry, just under case R, just press R on your keyboard and it does that. So it's off. So it just keeps on playing through. So if say you want to just so say you just want to just do this interlude infinitely. And it's kind of gross transition, but all right. So change it back to normal. So it's very tedious to put in all those markers every time. You know, you can do it by hand like this, or what I've set up is add locators right before each section, or right after one full bar after each section is an add locator MIDI note. So, and hopefully I'm not going to confuse with this, but what the computer is telling me to do is all these are mastered. So I have to, it's telling the computer to be at 120, 110, 70. So I'm going to turn all those off, and I can do it by selecting the first one and then shift holding all the way down to the end, turning off the master. And that kind of unfreezes this. So look what happens. it's kind of like grayed out. You can't change it. So I'm turning it back. Now I'm going to just turn this to 999, like the fastest the computer will go. And look what happens when I turn on ad locators. Press stop, and that takes you all the way to the beginning, and play. It just moves super fast, and it's making ad locators for you. And I'm going to mute the channel. Hopefully you can still hear me. Because it's running everything super fast. Look, your processor's going crazy. So I'm going to just stop it. And you can start it anywhere. It doesn't have to be the beginning. And sometimes it doesn't line up perfectly. So all you have to do is just click and drag and move it in place. So what this does is and you got to turn that off once you're done, or else it keeps on adding locators. So highlight everything again, the tempo guide, and then remaster it. What it's going to do is it's not going to fix itself until you press File. You have to save it, save live set as, and you want to do this anyways. You don't want to overwrite your template. So I have a folder, arrangement view, setlist, and I'm going to just call this test. So you have to, once you do the ad locators, you're going to have to reopen the file, open recent. And it's going to reopen everything. All right, so now it's communicating. All right, so now I'm going to minimize that and all that. Okay, so these are some icons here that will minimize certain views. Your masters, you don't need to see all this stuff, and it'll just be cleaner. You're going to want that one on so you can mute certain channels, and that one so you can see what's coming out. So exit out, I turn it to master. Some of them will say exit out, and then it's going to be like channel 2 or 1 of 2. That's telling you what speaker right, speaker left, or on your audio box, output 1 or output 2. What I've been doing is mastering, and it's forcing, the computer is telling it, all right, where is the master going out of? And that's going out of channel 2. So it's going to be the second channel on your audio box, or the first channel. Your first channel usually is the click, and the second is the loop. So it's forcing everything in this folder to go to the master channel, which is master 1. And I have certain things muted, like the drums are muted, the bass, the acoustic, the piano, and when I led this song, those were the automatically every time I played it, someone was playing one of those. So I muted those and saved it, so it always came in like this. So I can turn them on, turn them off. I can solo the track so I can hear. I want to know what it sounds like, and I can unsolo. So we can turn them all on. Now, what a lot of these files have is it's got a built-in. If you double click on the folder type, like here, it's got a built-in like gain meter or gain control. So since I've started at Morningside, I had to boost the signal, but as a result, it's peaked every song, and it had distortion. So, and you can see It's not in the red. And you can, if you click on the master, I even put a limiter on it, so it's not peaking as much, and I put a compression on it, so everything in here has compression and limiter, so it's not distorting anymore. So if I click on that again and I brought it back up to where it was, you can hear, you're going to see, if I go back to master, how much it's limiting it. So just recently, I brought down the gain back to 0. In some songs, I have to boost. Some songs I don't. All right, so those are 3 songs, and they aren't overlapping, but let's see what we could do to overlap them. Before I do that, you can delete these. These are just placeholders to put like a pad. If you want a pad in between a song, like that only lasts that many bars, you can. Or you just had a prayer, if you want a prayer in there. So like, say, right before "Oh Come to the Altar," I'm going to do a prayer. I just want to move that down to here. And you got to be careful when you're dropping it in. You don't want to drop it within "Love Come Down." You want to bring it right in between it. You see kind of how it highlights the whole file, the whole folder. So these are just transitions. Closing comments, I could bring it all the way down. So it just adds another line in between them. And it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter where you put them. I just kind of like this to be like the order of the service as much as possible. So the end of the song. So you think about it. Intro 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 measures here. I'm going to just delete these. I'm going to edit, delete time. You don't want to press delete because it's just going to delete that one line. But if delete time, it deletes everything from here to the bottom. But what happens to the last few seconds? You can extend it. So I want to zoom in a little. Select all the loops and then drag them out. And depending on how this sounds, this may be a good thing or may not be. So we're just kind of we're just cross-fading between songs now. This is the count-in. So there's really not any music, but and you see here, Glorious Day has a really high gain.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So it's really quick transition. Let's do that between Love Come Down and Oh Come to the Altar. All right, so you see that's like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
A lot of measures.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So I'm gonna try this. Just eliminate these 3 measures. File, edit, delete time, and then there shouldn't be much sound after, but let's see what that does. Uh-oh, I deleted a marker on accident. So I'm gonna press Command Z one more time. So I deleted this marker, and I want to save that marker. So I'm gonna move that down. File, edit, delete time. And why I want to save that marker is because it's got a MIDI note already built into it that communicates with my Looptimus, so I don't have to remap it every time. So let's play it.
Ending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it's really, really smooth transition.
Verse.
Another cool thing, say I want to just repeat this intro. 2 times. I just click on that, and so I know that's the intro. And I just want to select from the top all the way down to the bottom. I can just select that piece here, press Command C, copy, and move over. It brings the cursor up here. Edit. I want to paste the time. If I press paste, it will overlap everything past it, but paste time, it adds that time to the timeline. And I just want to delete things that it brought from over here. So I want it's going to say verse here because that's what verse. So I want to change it to say intro. And that's going to be pretty easy. So I just zoomed in a little. Over here, I'm going to go to my cues. English cues is preferable. And I want to scroll down. It says intro, drag it, and drop it. And it's going to say intro. So I got 2 transitions, two intros. Cool. Now say, and I'm showing you too much right now. This is just kind of building a set list. Say you want to change the key to A of "Oh Come to the Altar." It's in B now. You want to select, open up one folder. When you double click on something, it pulls up this window. Let's do that again. Double click, and so you want to select everything, all of the tracks, all the way down to the bottom. And since they're already warped, and the warp to Complex Pro, you can say I want to go down 2 half steps, which is in A. So it's in B flat, now it's in A. And oops, I didn't mean to turn up all the volume. There you go. So now 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's in A. Intro. I don't know if you can hear it. So you can force it to do anything you want. You can go, so that's, oh, they weren't all selected. So -2. And then what I do is I tell myself that is an A now. I'll come to the altar. And that's just so you know that Love Come Down is an A and Oh Come to the Altar is an A. So that's helpful transition. And what you could do is you could put a pad in there. So it's, I go to pads, worship tutorial pads, a simple pad, key of A, and I'm just going to drop it here. It's going to take a second. I don't warp these pads because it makes them faster. So it's an 8-minute pad, which is super long. I'm just going to just bring it to there. And then turn it down because it's super loud. They already started. Oh, I'm overdriving my computer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See? So this is a little pad. Intro. So that's what this does. And then I change this to say key of A, just so I know. All right, well that's a little tutorial on how to build a set list. And you probably don't need all these, so you can just delete these. Delete, 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 delete. 5th song, I'll leave that one. And so oh, there's probably one more down here. No, there's not.
1.
Come on. So that is what set list looks like. Cool. I'll do some more videos on what all these things do and how to add them to a new song. Um, like Pro Presenter, adding cues. So let me just give you a little teaser. Slide 40 on Pro Presenter, it tells you to go to slide 40 for the song. So I just made a playlist that follows it, and the slides change when it hits it.
Tag.
Slide, next slide,
Outro.
and next slide. So it's kind of foolproof. You don't have to have someone in the back running the lyrics for you. And I already did those two songs. I would have to build the next song. But that's just a little fire hydrant of information for you. So I'll talk to you later. Hopefully I didn't lose you too bad. But there you go, man. So